Welcome to Seattle. Welcome to Climate Pledge Arena for the NCAA Division I Women's 1 Basketball Seattle Regionals. This is for Seattle Regional 4. For those of you who weren't here for our earlier pressers, just a couple of reminders. Please silence all your cell phones. That would be appreciated. There's no flash photography or video allowed during the presser, but video will be available after the press conference on the NCAA Media Hub. We'll take questions from around the media room first. I'll probably take like 3 or 4 or 5 and then shift to Zoom if there are any hands raised on Zoom. And then we'll alternate back and forth between the room and Zoom. And please state your name and affiliation prior to asking your question. I got 2 microphone folks, Bess over on this side, Kelly over on that side. This is the practice day press conference for Iowa. And we now have head coach Lisa Bluter. And coach, if you'd just like to give us an opening statement, and then we'll throw it open for some questions.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody, we're just thrilled to be still, playing basketball this time of the year. I feel like our team is in a really good spot. We got here yesterday. We're healthy. I know some people are wondering about Hannah. We're healthy. We're feeling good. We know that Colorado is going to be a really tough challenge. Their defense is very, very good. I mean, 58.5 points that they hold people to, so a tremendous defensive team. I just think RJ has done a great job with her team. They were in Iowa City last year for the tournament, the NCAA tournament. I think she's done a tremendous job with her team.
All right, we'll throw up some questions. Back there, please.
Alexa Philpott with ESPN. What about Colorado's defense really sticks out? What makes it so difficult? And are there any similarities to the defense you faced, against Georgia, or is it just a completely new way that they go about playing?
It's a different style of defense because they play mostly player, where Georgia was all of a zone. But I think what is so good about it is they just have really good ball pressure. They're very active. I mean, Sherrod is so fast. They have depth off the bench, and so they can keep coming at you. I think that's really what makes them very, very good defensively.
Right here, please.
Chloe Peterson, Daily Iowan. I know you mentioned Hannah, but what is the status of Hannah and Molly Davis going into tomorrow?
Both, I feel, as close to 100% as you can be this time of year.
Right here, please, in the front row.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Chloe kind of beat me to the punch on that. Just off topic a little bit, of the 8 teams that are here, I think Colorado's the closest, and they're still 1,300 miles away. We talked a little bit about the 2-site deal with the NCAA. Just your thoughts on that, with those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, with 2 sites, obviously we're a long ways from Iowa City. And I really believe that if this site would have been 5 hours from Iowa City, we'd have 10,000 Hawkeye fans here. And it's just unfortunate that our fans won't be able to support us live. I know they'll be watching on television, but there's something special about a real electric arena, a really, with great atmosphere. And I think if this was played in the Midwest, we would have had that. I really do. So that's unfortunate, but at the same time, we're glad we're here. We think Seattle's going to be a great host site. The city seems really nice, and our hotel's great. Everything's been wonderful. But, yeah, I wish it was closer to home.
Right in front here, please.
Kyle Hughes on Hawkeye Report. You mentioned the ball pressure that Colorado presents on defense. Is there a team that you've played this year that's kind of similar to that? I know that you've played some pretty good teams that have forced a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Indiana would be the closest Big Ten school. Not Maryland because they switch all screens. So I would say Indiana would probably be the closest.
Back there, please, and then I'll take a Zoom question.
Hey, Ben Pickman from The Athletic. Generally in the Sweet 16 right now, you look at it, Angel Reese was a transfer, Alyssa Peely, Quay Miller. There's a number of transfers, key transfers who subsequently made the Sweet 16. I guess for you personally, and then also generally around the sport, how do you look at the transfer portal impacting roster construction for you and then kind of more broadly?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't use it a lot this year. We did get Molly Davis, and we needed Molly because she provides us as a backup 1-2, and so that's an important position for us, and so that was a tremendous for us. But, we haven't used it like other people maybe have. Will we in the future? I think it is the future of women's basketball and men's basketball. I don't think you can get, be successful without using it. It's the new brand of basketball, and people are going to be hopping from roster to roster, and do I like it personally? Probably not. philosophically, but as far as what it is, and you have to buy in.
Going to go to a Zoom question here from Susan Harmon, please. And Susan, please unmute.
Susan Harmon, hawkfanatic.com. With Colorado having been at your site last year, can you use any of the pregame scout that you prepared for Colorado, or have they changed too much?
Oh, that's a great question, Susan, and absolutely. I mean, we had a complete scout done for them last year, and they haven't changed a whole lot. There's a few fresh faces, a few that exited the program as well, but they're very similar style-wise, and we absolutely started our report with that.
Back here, please.
Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. A lot of opposing coaches have talked about how difficult it's been to game plan for Caitlin's passing this year. I'm curious how you as a coaching staff have worked with her on that, or is that more just Caitlin driven?
It's pretty innate. She is a fabulous passer, but has been most of her life. But I think when she came to college, it really opened up even more because she had people that could catch her passes. I mean, sometimes in high school, honestly, they came in so fast, so hard, people weren't expecting them, that they weren't ready for them. AAU was better for her, and USA basketball, of course, was better for her. But when she came to Iowa, and I think the first time she met Monica and scrimmaged with Monica, it opened up her eyes that I can really have an opportunity to pass the ball like she's capable of, which is incredible.
Doug in the back.
Hey, Coach. Doug Feinberg, the AP. A two-part question, just to follow up on Jeff's question before about location. I don't know if Des Moines or anyone in Iowa bid for a regional, and that's obviously how teams get regionals. Would you encourage someone in Iowa to probably bid down the road for a regional? And the second question is just, you've been around for a few years. Colorado has not been in the Sweet 16 since 2003, and I think you were a young coach back then. Do you remember anything about those teams with Seal from the early 2000s?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've known Seal for a long, long time. I remember when I was at Drake and Seal came to play in a Sweet 16 at Drake University. Shelly Sheets, she took Shelly Sheets away from Iowa, who turned out being I think it was Kodak back then, a Kodak All-American still. Seal was a tremendous coach. Linda Lappy from Iowa also played there and then was the coach there. So I absolutely remember the Colorado teams, and I remember them being really tall. I mean, they had some really tall and then obviously good guards like Shelly Sheets. But I would hope that Des Moines would bid for this because you look at Iowa, Iowa State, and Drake. 3 of the 4 schools from Iowa, the Division I schools, were invited to the NCAA tournament, or won. They each won their tournaments. So they were both automatic bids. I mean, and how well Iowa State and us draw, it would just make sense that Des Moines should be trying for this. Now, they hosted a site for men this year, but I'm hoping that, in the future that would be a really nice, I think. I think it'd sell out. I really do. I know Pat Summitt was there for last time I think they hosted. Baylor was there, Tennessee. They had good crowds then.
Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Jeff Dubroff, KCCI in Des Moines. You have Monica, who comes back for a 5th year. Right here, Coach.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm sorry.
She comes back for a 5th year, and obviously now is having this run that hopefully continues. What, I guess, does she mean to this program, and where do you think this team this year might be without Monica on the roster?
Oh, Monica is incredibly important to our success. I mean, she's a region All-American along with Caitlin. She was a finalist for the Lisa Leslie Award, top 5 centers in America. I think she's 4th right now in field goal percentage shooting in the country, which is low for her. The last 2 years, she's been number 1 in the country. Monica is phenomenal, a phenomenal post player. She's so efficient. Her footwork is so good. Her hands are incredible. I don't want to even think of where we would be, and I'm thankful I didn't have to think about where we would be without her. So that's down the road.
Other question, right in front, please.
Kyle Huseman, Hawkeye Report. Multiple players on the team have talked, this year about how much they watch women's college basketball outside of, game film and things like that. Stanford loses in your region, Duke loses, Texas loses, all had home region games. Is that kind of one thing where the team could possibly, just weighing, potentially looking ahead, like, look how much this region has opened up for us, or is it more of a lesson of, hey, if we don't bring our best game, this region has had a lot of upsets, so we could be the next one?
Yeah, I think it's more the latter, Kyle. It's like, I think you're seeing parity in women's basketball right now, and I think that's tremendous for our game, and it makes it so much more fun to watch for everybody, maybe even the casual fan, right? Not just the Iowa Hawkeye fan, not just the South Carolina fan, but the casual fan, I think, enjoys it a little bit more when there's more parity in women's basketball. But when those people go down, they're, like you say, they were hosting. Well, it wasn't that long ago we felt what that's like. So my heart aches for those people. I know exactly what they're going through, and it just shows you where women's basketball is right now. But did we think about it any differently as far as our steps? No. It's just the same steps as we were before. Certainly, we all watched the Duke Colorado game the other night. We had a text thread going from our whole group of our players, and it's just the next step. The next step is Colorado.
Kevin, go ahead, please.
Kevin Pelton, ESPN. Doesn't help in terms of bringing your fan base any closer, but is it useful that you, as a team, made a similar trip out to the Northwest for the Phil Knight tournament last fall?
Yeah, I think it is. We've talked about destiny a lot in our journey this year, and there's been so many things that have been like, yeah, that was part of the plan when we didn't even know it was part of the plan, right? But certainly coming out here and again, facing that competition in a pro arena like this, I think gives us good experience.
Can you hear me? Okay, Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Going back to the parity thing, how has this evolved? How has women's basketball become more than just Connecticut and everybody else? Is there just a deeper talent pool at the high school level? What has taken place the last 10 or 15 years?
My opinion is that it is a deeper talent pool. I think television exposure has helped. Like, for instance, the Big Ten, with our network, when that came on the scene, it allowed, us to be known more outside of just Iowa. And so I think the Big Ten network certainly helped us. But I do think there's just a lot more parity. And I think in the last couple of years with the transfer portal, it has also changed things because of that. So I think those, that's not 10 or 15 years, but certainly in the last couple of years.
Kyle Huseman, Hawkeye Report. Last week you faced a Georgia team that liked to run out two centers. Colorado kind of does the same with Vonleh and Miller. What comparisons are there between those two those four, I guess, together? And was it kind of nice to see Georgia last week and then kind of have that same personnel this week?
Yeah, two games in a row, we're going to be facing a double post offense. Again, destiny helps, right? It's just a situation of we haven't seen that hardly at all this year, the entire year, and now we're seeing it 2 games in a row. So I think last week will help prepare us. I know Quay Miller is a fabulous player, all Pac-12 player. And I don't know, Arianette, is that how you say? If somebody from Colorado can help me, I don't know.
Arianette, yeah.
Is that Arianette? She is very, as a sophomore, her field goal percentage the last 5 games is almost 70%. That's like Monica numbers. That's impressive. That's a very, very impressive.
Coach, was there a particular game this year that was kind of served as a spark for this team, maybe to come from behind or pulling one out on the road where you weren't necessarily favored to win one, that kind of served as a spark for this group?
I think we've had a lot of little sparks along the way, but certainly beating Indiana at home in our last game to a sold-out arena was really good. And so I almost think the spark was actually our Maryland loss rather than a win. And so, coming off that game, we beat Indiana at home, and like I said, in a sold-out arena, and then we go into the Big Ten tournament and play. We played 8 days. We played 4 games and 2 against three against top 10 opponents in the country. That's hard to do, and I think that really has been good for us.
Okay. Got time for 1 or 2 more? Are there any others? Go ahead.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette, just following up. How was the Maryland loss a spark?
It just kind of, it didn't bring us back to reality because my team is never cocky or anything like that. But it sure like gave us a focus. It just felt so bad that we didn't want to feel that way again for a long, long time, hopefully. It was more that. It was more just putting the old cliche, the nose of the grindstone, but it really was. It brought us a little bit closer together for some reason. And, our chemistry is something that we really believe in, that we absolutely believe that our chemistry is one of the parts of our success. And I think it even brought us even tighter.
Last one. Go ahead.
Mara with the Seattle Sports Commission. It looked like the team had some fun in Seattle yesterday exploring. Is there anything else that you're hoping that the team will be able to do while you're here? Or are you now fully locked down into game mode?
Last night they went to the bubblegum wall, which sounds completely disgusting. I'm sorry, Seattle, but it does to me. I did not go. They did, and they went to the public market, I believe. So they had a really nice time, and it was good for them to get out and walk around and see Seattle. It really is a beautiful city. This morning I went for a walk along the waterfront there. It's a beautiful city, and like I say, we're glad to be here. But they enjoyed it, and we needed that after a 4-hour flight here to get out and stretch the legs. The one thing that they've talked about wanting to do is the Ferris wheel. I don't. Would you recommend that? I would. You would? I'm sure you would. Especially at $17 a ticket. I'm sure you would. They told me that already, so.
All right. Coach, thank you so much, and thank you so much for your questions. Good afternoon again, and we are now joined by players from the Iowa team. Seated immediately to my right is Caitlin Clark. Next to her, Gabby Marshall. And on the end, Monica Sonono. Sonono, thank you. If any of you ladies would like to open just a quick comment, and then we'll open it up to questions, please.
Questions.
Okay. She says questions. We're going to questions. Who has the first one here?
I could say some things, but.
Go to the blue, and then we'll come to the one on the end here.
Hi, Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. Caitlin, a lot of opposing coaches have talked about your passing a lot recently, and I'm curious, it seems pretty obvious you can work on shooting individually, but how do you work on becoming a better passer?
Yeah, I think it's not really something you can just go into the gym and work on. I think, I'm lucky enough to play at a school where, we go into practice every day and we compete. We play a lot of live basketball, and I think that's the best way to get better at a lot of things. Even, working on lowering my turnover numbers, I think that was a huge thing, is just, playing basketball. We always play pickup in the summer when you can't work out with your coaches as much. So I think that's the biggest thing. But honestly, I played soccer from a very young age. And I think, understanding angles and reading angles is something that, helps your passing. I'm able to anticipate a lot of things and know where I need to get my teammates the ball and on time. So I think, understanding angles and anticipation is just like the biggest two things that, help me be a good passer.
Eden Lassie, Just Women's Sports. This is for Gabby. You and, the other two starters other than Monica and Caitlin have really taken on big roles this season, and over the last couple seasons they've grown. How have you been able to grow into that role to help kind of elevate this team?
Yeah, I think obviously people are going to focus on Monica and Caitlin as they should, and I think really it's hard for teams to guard us when we have bigger roles, and we know that. And I think especially after that Maryland game at Maryland, we knew we had to step up and we had to knock down shots, and they were focusing on Monica and Caitlin, and the supporting cast had to step up. So I think we've done a great job at it, and Monica and Caitlin are great at finding us and giving us the confidence to knock down the shots when we're open.
Alexa, please.
Hi, Alexa Philp with ESPN. I guess any of you or all of you, whoever wants to answer this. I know Coach was talking about how Georgia and Colorado play different types of defense, but is there anything that you can take from that Georgia game and playing a team that really prides itself defensively into the game tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we all talk about kind of how lucky we are to have this path in the NCAA tournament. I think defensively they all do a great job. Obviously, I'm a little bit more focused on post play, but Georgia plays with two bigs, so does Colorado. That's not something we normally see in the Big Ten very often. So having that aspect, just having a lot of height down there in the paint, kind of clogging it up. I think we're really lucky to have played Georgia and have that experience under our belt for Colorado, but it's just going to be a physical game. They're going to try to speed us up a lot. Just kind of playing how we know we can play is going to be huge for us.
Kyle Huesman, Hawkeye Report. Monica, you just talked about how you faced Georgia last week. They played two centers. Colorado does the same thing. What similarities do you see from those two? And, you know, how does the matchup just altogether kind of be similar to last week?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is super similar. I think that for me and McKenna, having that under our belts, just the physicality of it, more than anything, when you play with two centers, we both have to box out harder, crash harder, all these different things, and it kind of adjusts our game a little bit, adjusts our shots a little bit. So having that under our belt, just kind of having a sense for the physicality of it's really helpful for us.
Go ahead.
Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette for anyone. Someone asked Coach Bluter what game was kind of a trigger for you, a turning point, what win, and she said it was the Maryland loss, you know, just before, you know, the Indiana game and all that. How was that a turning point, and how were you able to get things rolling again after that?
Yeah, I would totally agree with Coach Bluter. I think that loss, you know, kind of stung a bit. I think, you know, we understood, you know, a lot of people are going to go back and watch that film and have a blueprint of how to beat Iowa. And we knew, you know, we needed to change some things to be able to, you know, not let teams guard us like that. And we were happy we got another shot at Maryland to show, you know, you can't just take two players out of the game and beat us. And I think, you know, Gabby, McKenna, Kate, even our bench play, Hannah Stolke, Sydney, Molly, I think they've all stepped up in big ways. And I think we all understand, too, that, you know, if we want to, you know, win 2 games here, we're going to need everybody. It can't just be a couple people. It's got to be, you know, all 5 players on the floor at one time, whether that shows up in the box score or not. You know, you need to be dialed in and do your role. But I would totally agree with Coach Bluter. I think it was the Maryland loss. Everybody knew that we had to elevate our games to a different level, and understanding, you know, people are going to watch that film and think they have a way to beat us. And I think we understand now that, you know, we've seen about every defense you can throw at us: junk, zone, man-to-man, pressure, full court, every press. So I think finding confidence in, you know, we've been successful versus basically every defense. It's just executing who we are.
I'll get to you. I got a Zoom question. I'll get to you right after that, okay? So hang tight. Susan Harmon on Zoom, please. Okay. I'll take yours, and we'll try Susan again. Go ahead.
Jake Garcia, King 5 Seattle. Caitlin, I know you're probably not focused on the scoring record right now, but since we are in Seattle, I'm curious if you've met Kelsey Plum, if you have a friendship with her, and the similarities that you see between the two of your games.
No, I've never met Kelsey Plum, but I'm a huge fan. You know, obviously, you know, an amazing college player and an even amazing pro, and, you know, the NCAA all-time leading scorer, led Washington to the Final Four. So somebody I really admire, but I did not make that connection, but she is tremendous. I love watching her play. I think she plays with a fire, a passion, you know, that I try to play with and emulate. So definitely somebody I love having on the TV, and obviously I feel like she's, you know, taken her game to the next level every single year. So she's been fun to watch and, you know, kind of one of my idols.
Kevin, let me try this Zoom question one more time, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, hold on just a sec. Susan Harmon, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I on?
You are.
Okay, Susan Harmon, hawkfanatic.com. For Caitlin or Gabby, how does their guard charade impact their play on both ends?
Yeah, you know, she's really fast and quick, and if she loves defense. I mean, she's going to get up in your shorts. She's going to pressure the ball. She's going to try to get in your head. She's going to run through passing lanes. But I feel like it's something we haven't seen before. She plays with a lot of energy and passion, and she is that leader for their team. And, you know, she's going to drive in the paint hard, and she's going to find her post. But I think if we just really lock down on defense and play hard, I mean, we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Kevin, go ahead, please. Oh, all right.
Kevin Pelton, ESPN. Caitlin, curious about your soccer comment. What position did you play, and what was kind of your style?
Definitely not defense. I was the forward. I scored the goals. But soccer was the first ever sport I played, and I actually played all the way through my sophomore year of high school. And it was really hard to give up. But in Iowa, soccer's in the spring, which was when AAU basketball was. So I kind of had to make a decision, and I honestly probably could have gone on and played D1 soccer too, but decided basketball is probably going to be a better route for me, and it worked out well. But I definitely miss it, and I had a lot of fun watching the World Cup and stuff. But I do give it a lot of credit for like foot quickness, reading passing angles, things like that. So, I loved getting to play it, and it was the first ever sport I played.
Go ahead, please.
Chloe Peterson, Daily Iowan. For Monica, how will having Hannah back help with that double post
Oh,
defense?
it'll be such a tremendous help. And I just think that I've said it so many times today, but it's so true that Hannah having the ability to come in at the 5 just throws a type of offense at the defense that they're probably not used to seeing. Like, I'm just such a traditional back to the basket post. I never dribble really if I can help it. And Hannah dribbles, is so dynamic, such a great rebounder. So I think it gives the defense completely different looks that they have to be ready for. And so having her back is so helpful in that regard.
Eden Lassie, Just Women's Sports. This is for Caitlin. I know you guys are focused on March Madness, but there's always a lot of conversation around you and Aaliyah Boston and the debate for Player of the Year. I was curious if you knew Aaliyah at all and what you kind of think of the conversations that go on around that award.
Yeah, I do know Aaliyah. She was my teammate on USA Basketball, and I think, the debate is really good for women's basketball. But I think, I'm focused on winning games, and really, I understand the people that vote for those awards. Those are just their opinions and things like that. It's not, all of America casting their votes on who they think should win National Player of the Year. And really the only opinions I care about are my teammates and my coaches and what I have of myself and the confidence I have in myself. But like I said, I think Dawn Staley said it really well last year. We need these conversations for our game. That's what grows it. It shouldn't just be one person end all be all. It should be, there should be conversations because that's what helps the game grow. You see it on the men's side all the time. You never know who's going to win Player of the Year, things like that. So more than anything, I think it's really good for our game. But at the same time, I'm just focused on getting my team to Dallas.
Caitlin, I'm sorry, Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. Caitlin, you're really introspective on stuff like this. Colorado's the closest team here. They still had to come 1,300 miles with the 2 sites. Nobody's close to Seattle. Just your thought on what maybe could be done to make this format a little bit better.
Yeah, obviously this is really new, so I think it's a learning experience for all of us. I've liked Seattle so far. I get to play in the arena that Sue Bird gets to play in, played in. I think that's pretty cool. But I don't know. I think there's going to be a ton of women's basketball fans here in general, I think. This is a city that supports women's basketball. Sure, would I love to be closer to the Midwest where it was a drivable distance for Iowa fans? Absolutely. But, say if Washington was here right now, I'm sure they would say the opposite. So I'm not going to complain about being in the Sweet 16. I'm honestly just really happy to be here. Would I love if it was in Iowa City? Yeah, but it's not. But I'm just here. I'm ready to play basketball. It doesn't really matter where it's at.
Kyle Huseman, Hawkeye Report. Question for any of the players. In your guys' region, there's been some upsets. Stanford lost, Duke lost, Texas lost, all on their home court. Instead of, taking that as, hey, look at the way our region just opened up for us to make a run at the Final Four, is it more kind of maybe kind of another thing to just get your focus down on, hey, if we don't bring our best game, this region's already had a lot of upsets, and we could be the next one?
Yeah, I think absolutely, and I think we understand that really well. We lived that last year, when we lost on our home court. So, it's sometimes hard to watch other teams, go through that. But I think that's what makes March Madness the best season or the best postseason tournament in all of sports. There are those upsets. There's Cinderella teams. There's teams going into 1 seeds and knocking them off. And that's just going to draw more people to the game. That's what's going to have people talking about the game. But, yeah, I think more than anything, it gives us an understanding if you don't come ready to play, you're going to go home. And I think that's what, makes this tournament so fun.
Mara with the Seattle Sports Commission, you kind of teased it already, but you landed, you had a little bit of fun in Seattle, and you just came off of practice. So 2-parter question. How did it feel to walk into the arena and onto the court for this practice? And then what's it been like for you in Seattle so far?
I think it's a special feeling. Obviously, there's 16 teams left, and we're one of the 16 teams that gets to still be playing basketball. So I think, honestly, we're just excited for Friday and just blessed to be here and just happy to be here, honestly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city. We got to go to the Gum Wall last night, which was kind of fun. This is the furthest west, we went to Portland, but second time furthest west I've ever been. I think a lot of people on our team are similar to that. So we're just having a lot of fun. It's a really special trip. It's definitely a business trip, but it's cool. Our coaching staff does a good job of of kind of letting us see the culture of the places we go to a little bit. So it's really fun, and we're really looking forward to the game.
I think the arena's awesome too. It's built down into the ground, right? Like Carver Hawkeye Arena. Okay, that's good vibes then.
Got time for one more? I think Alexa back there.
Hi, any of you can answer this. When you were talking about just the Maryland loss being that kind of turning point, was that something where, it was like a spoken thing, like the team had to get together and really just discuss how you move forward? Or are you all just so kind of connected that it was almost unspoken where you just knew what you had to do and move forward? How did you, I guess, specifically come together after that?
I mean, I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was honestly embarrassing what happened to us in Maryland, and we all knew that. I mean, when you get 30-pieced on the road, it's not fun. So I think it was kind of a group thing. Obviously, we had meetings with Coach Bluter and stuff, and our coaching staff does such a good job of kind of rerouting our focus. And we had Indiana coming up, which is another big matchup. So I think it was just, we talked about it, yeah, but all of us knew we needed to change if we wanted to make it further than we've ever been before. So, yeah, a mix of both.
And Maryland's a tremendous team, let me
Yes.
add. It's always fun getting to compete against them, and they're a very hard team to play on the road. And I think we understood that, and I think we just understood that wasn't an accurate representation of what our team is. And I think wanting to change that, and I believe our season could have gone one of two ways when we played Indiana at home. We weren't playing for a Big Ten regular season title anymore, but the game still meant the same to us. We were coming in there to win for our seniors on senior day in front of a sold-out Carver. Our fans still showed up for us, and we won on a buzzer-beating shot, but we felt like we played a dominating game against them the whole time. And I think we've been able to ride that momentum throughout the Big Ten tournament, the first two games of the NCAA tournament, and we're bringing that here too.
All right, ladies, thank you so much, and thank